Hello and welcome, everyone. Jesus fucking Christ. To The Altar, episode 91. Tonight it is myself, Ben, aka Rocky Mountain Juhadin, formerly based Heisenberg, and we have less racist Max, aka Ancaparato, aka the blogger, soon to formally be known as Ancaparato because he is next on the list. Fortunately, Yimra got yesterday, for those of you joining us from the Tumblr crowd, so Matt, myself, and now Yimra have all been terminated and remade. Max is next.
I'm the only one left.
What did we say before? It was like first they came for the Mexicans and I did nothing.
First, they came for the Puerto Ricans.
The Puerto Ricans, same thing.
And then they came for the Jews.
The Jews.
Then they came
for the Italians.
For the Italians. And still I said nothing.
And
now there's no one left.
When they come for you.
To speak for me.
This is true. Actually, that's not true. No, I'm trying to think of another like longtime blogger, but like
Gary's gone.
Everyone's gone, dude. Like you are the last one. Like I think it's you. You were like the last Mohican.
I'm like one of the only people in this circle that's somehow never been deleted. And I think it's because I very, very, very deliberately stay away from saying anything or typing anything about race ever on Tumblr.
This is true.
To
be fair, I didn't get deleted for making a racist remark. I got deleted for making a transphobic remark, I guess.
I guess, yeah, actually, that's the other thing I just don't touch. It's not that I don't have some opinions about it. They're probably a little more nuanced than somebody calling me a transphobe would think. But,
well. Anyways, so I didn't really pick a topic for tonight.
Oh yeah, is there a show title even?
I mean, so it's For Your Safety, and it was mostly going to be a joke about how when we don't do an episode, things happen in the world. So for your
Paul
safety,
Pelosi got attacked.
Yeah, exactly. We get delayed one fucking day, and Paul Pelosi gets beat with a fucking hammer. So
I haven't even read the news. I've just been out in.
So right now, at least as far as I can tell, like I'm not gonna read the dude's name on air because fuck that. But
brain surgery.
Yeah. Oh. So they fucked him up. Yeah, this dude fucked him up, but he's like some it's like some native San Fran protester from like Castro who used to like protest.
He does have a fixation about Jews though.
Yeah.
On his blog, which is like
Well.
Anyways.
But yeah, so apparently too when he like was in the house, like he was yelling like, "Where's Nancy?"
Ooh.
Yeah, that's kind of scary and also kind of based.
This is it's something. I think didn't I make the comment? Maybe it was a couple months ago, and I wasn't encouraging anything, but I was making the observation that America sure does have a lot of mass shootings relative to like political assassinations.
Yeah, you would think like
like other countries, like disaffected young men who should just go to a monastery, like we talked about a couple episodes ago.
True.
Those are like the politically violent people when they can't get jobs and they are disenfranchised politically and have no power, and
their inheritance was squandered by their parents who joined a cult, and the cult is run by the former prime minister, and you gotta like make a shotgun out of plumbing material and hope, and hey, what do you know, got the job done.
Right. Those are the kinds of guys that in other countries assassinate politicians. In America, it seems to be that they shoot up elementary kids.
Yeah.
And it's like really, really...
Well, they are the leaders of tomorrow, Max. So...
Wait, what if... Oh my God. What if every mass shooter was actually a time traveler from the future?
When they were stopping...
And all of those kids were baby Hitlers. future Hitlers. There's literally billions of lives being saved every time. I should put that thought into people's heads. No,
I
it's I'm sure some schizo actually believes that, but
probably this is like I was gonna make the joke about this being dangerously close to something that Alex Jones got sued for, but
oh, right,
I was
but
thinking about that the other day, and I'm just like, all right, so like think about the amount of money he was charged, and you could go into different like examples, like Bayer being sued for putting like HIV laden drugs out to the public for billions of dollars, less than Alex Jones. Union Carbide being sued billions of dollars for like dumping toxic waste in like an aquifer in like Indiana or some shit. Yes, they only got sued for like $600 billion or something like that. 600 million, excuse me. But the other thing I wanted to think about too is like I'm pretty sure there was at least an attempt at a lawsuit, or there is an actual lawsuit by the Sandy Hook families against Remington, who manufactured the rifle. Now, arguably, it's not Remington's fault. Like we'll probably discuss that in another episode. But I am pretty sure that they are suing Remington for less money than they are Alex Jones. Which again, I'm not saying Remington is at fault because they're not, but it's like what the fuck?
what was the figure again? That they wanted Alex Jones to pay is close to $1 billion.
So it was like 600 or 900 million or something like that, but now like apparently they're trying to get him to pay like 2.75 trillion in damages. Like they just want to throw like the book at him financially, and like I don't remember who it was who made the joke, but it was like, excuse me. Oh, so what we'll do is like we'll just take the money Alex Jones would pay into this lawsuit and we'll just put it into the national debt and we'll pay some shit off. Because holy
Okay,
shit.
yes. So he was ordered to pay 965, and then the new suit was like, yeah, 2.75 trillion dollars, because they wanted to have each individual product he sold was like a case of fraud by mail, and so you like add it up. um Anyways, the Treaty of Versailles, signed in 1919, had a schedule of payments in which Germany was to pay 132 billion gold marks to the Allies.
Hmm. Okay, so less than what Alex Jones is having to pay.
Less than what they're suing. I mean, maybe obviously with inflation it's different, but like think about it, the dollar amount is less than what Germany was supposed to pay in fucking World War I for destroying all of Europe and killing, starting, not that really Germany started it, but the taking the blame for uh you know probably 20 million deaths, and also the rise of communism in Russia and everything like that. Quite
Mm,
interesting.
mm,
So, um yeah, that's so. Oh, I think I made the joke that like they wanted to get us out of recession as quickly as possible, and so those money transfer payments just count as towards GDP. So that one court
yeah.
case
Hmm.
got us out of recession, right?
I
So
mean,
we're
they
fine.
did have, didn't they have, like, they said, like, it was like a percentage, like, the economy did actually do okay ish. Like, instead of
I think
contracting.
this quarter it might have recovered a bit,
Mm.
which I think it's starting to get a little more healthy.
Not yet.
As far as like,
I wouldn't call anything until after the holidays, because, like, so speaking from my
oh, you're
perspective from
right.
work,
Yeah, there's a lot of consumption going into the
yeah.
holidays. That'll
So, well,
drive it up.
there is a lot of consumption, but is it going to be enough consumption? Because, like, from my end, we're definitely feeling it a little bit. Like, we're on track. Like last year, our store did 4.2 million. This year, we should pop 5, which is good. But like, it's we're some of the sales goals have been a little extra difficult to reach these past couple of months, and they've been making some decisions in the company involving like how we're going to be charging people for certain repairs on jewelry pieces
Mm.
that they're basically, so to to explain this as simply as I can, we have always been able to, like, if you bring a ring to me and it needs a sizing and a stone tightening and a polish, I have basically codes I can use when submitting the repair job to my shop for each
Mhm.
thing that needs to be done. So polishing, sizing, stone tightening are each a code. Now, past couple of months, they basically came out with repair bundles, which is basically, it's like a form of like selling or advertising our repair services to consumers a little bit more. But it's like we'll have one bundle that's like it's like a polish, a stone tightening, and just like minor work. It's like, yeah, refresh your ring, and then there's like a restore package, and then there's a whole refurbish package, and it's like $100, $200, $500. So we would use them sometimes, but not all the time, because if somebody just needs their stone tightening and a polish, they don't need a stone tightening and a polish and a half shit and like redoing half the ring and doing like a bunch of extra shit. Now they're just like, yeah, so you have to use the packages. You can no longer pick and choose which repairs you want to do on your own. And I'm like, okay. So I had this happen today where I had this older lady come in and she had these two gold chains that she's probably had for decades. They were both broken and she just wanted them soldered back together. It's a very simple thing. Your average C grade jeweler can do that in like an hour. Normally
Yeah. Sorry,
it's
I
like
didn't have the mic.
no, you're good. It's like $30 or $40 per job normally, which is very fair. Like that's basically just like the amount of gold solder plus minor labor.
Mm.
Now, because of the packages we have for chains and necklaces and pendants and stuff, it's minimum $100. Like I cannot charge any less than
Per
$100
unit
per
and
job essentially. So like the lowest package tier, there are three packages that I can use. It's basically again refresh, restore, refurbish for necklaces. I have to use refresh. That's the lowest tier one, and it's a minimum $100, and that's it. And it's like literally we went from 40 to 100, and from getting two chains fixed being like $80, it was $200. And she's like, oh, I can't do that, I can't afford that. I'm just like, I know, I'm sorry. Like I didn't say I know, but I was just like, I'm sorry, ma'am. It's they raised our prices a little bit recently, and I'm
Mhm.
sorry. That's about all I can say.
What I will say about the economy like getting healthier is I've noticed a lot more people are actually going to work or trying to get work.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it's like, yeah, prices have reached a level where like, yeah, you can't tolerate like just that one income or like stuff like that, or whatever bucks they were getting kind of ran out.
Yeah,
Um,
we
so
we to be fair, these were all like women applicants who have applied for jobs at my store over the past 2 weeks.
mm,
We've had four applicants basically submit resumes and like, okay, we're gonna have you come in for an interview. All four were no shows. All four.
really,
Yeah.
that's
So
see, I know my position's a little different. I had two people like out of the blue reach out for
mhm.
jobs while we were closed.
Okay.
Like just sent me emails like, "Hey, can I get a job here?" Like even though there's like we're not you're not working right now. There's no hours, but whatever. Yeah, I'll hire or one of them I'd like and I'll probably get them in next month, but uh they're a little more flexible being, student uh
Yeah.
general population kind of people. But it's like no, I think people are a little more serious about getting jobs. There was that whole like act your wage
Mm,
movement thing, which
mm,
in a respect, like, yeah, that could be something. Like if you are working a really shit, hard, tedious job, like you can, you know, don't fucking break your back to get $12 an hour, like literally hurt yourself doing some manual labor or out in the fields or something like that. Like work at the pace that's healthy,
mm.
and shit like that. But um getting back to, in order to have a society in which there are goods and services, we must actually produce said goods and services.
Mhm.
Like
Yeah.
we need people participating, and think about all of the like. I've been watching and reading a lot of podcasts about like this the male joblessness problem in
Mm,
America.
yeah.
Guys, guys like 18 to like in their prime working age,
Hmm.
like 18 to 55. There's something like 7, 8 million guys who just aren't looking for work in that age
Well, I mean,
group.
it's a lot of it is like dudes who aren't looking for work because like they're genuinely just neats and like they're on unemployment and
No, this
maybe
this is the neat thing.
yeah,
And
okay.
some of it's disability, some of it's like, yeah, I'm just living in my mom's basement, I'm checked out.
Hmm.
Some of it is, yeah, the unemployment. Like I had a better job at one point and I got laid off and I've just
Hmm.
given up because I can't find anything better.
Yeah.
And then um but like you go into the stats on this and it's like these guys have, and we might fit into this demo too, but they have like an average of like 10,000 hours or what was it? Is 2,000 hours a year in screen time.
Yeah.
It's like a full-time job
Yeah.
of screen time. And they do surveys on these guys and they're like uh on painkillers. Doesn't specify. Could be opioids. Usually, so it's smoking weed and playing Call of Duty, basically.
Yeah.
Like
I mean,
there's a
weeds.
significant part of our generation has never worked, has never had a job, and
Mhm.
is smoking weed and playing Call of Duty. And um, I do feel bad for these guys because yeah, they have gotten the short end of a lot of sticks. But you look at the stats for like foreign immigrant labor,
Yeah.
and it's higher than them. It's actually better than like the generational average for before. So it's like some
Mhm.
Latino guy who barely speaks English can get a job. Like, what's your fucking
Well, the
problem?
problem too is like
Um,
you could also make the argument that the Latino guy is also hypothetically willing to work for a lower wage, probably
mhm.
because he has more of an impetus to actually need to make money and provide for people. Because
Yeah.
like this is the thing, like I don't want to sound like a boomer saying pull yourself up by your bootstraps or some shit, but like a lot of these guys probably live with families that are maybe not affluent but like well off, like enough that you can just support somebody living in your basement or your attic no problem while
Mhm.
they don't work at all. Like that's
No,
like
it's like this. It's the guy that, yeah. Oh, yeah. I guess I filled out a couple of applications. They're lying, but like,
exactly, yeah, but like
they tell their
these,
parents that they did it, and yeah,
I mean,
or their
arguably you
uncle,
could
or
also say that like a lot of these guys also like the screen time could be also due to like, I mean, I'm sure more at least a decent chunk of them are probably addicted to shit like hentai or Pornhub or shit like that.
oh no, it's totally stuff like that, and it's this false gratification.
Yeah.
Like we are a very rich, decadent society. We've never had it better in a
Hmm.
respect.
This is very
Um,
true. But like what I'm trying to say is like these kids aren't in a position where like it's like either you work or your kids don't eat, or you work or your family goes homeless or something like that.
hmm
Like they're just,
hmm
and also their parents, like I don't really know, like I've never met somebody whose child was truly just like never goes outside, lives in my basement, is on a desktop computer 24/7, because like I guess I don't associate with people like that because they've already got their own problems, but like I just don't. I don't know. I'm kind of trailing a little bit, but it's just like
there's like it's weird. I think for us, to like we don't know these people because like they're not out in society.
they're
Literally,
not.
they're just
Yeah.
they're just um like they might not even be in the grocery store or at a bar
Oh no,
or
they're
something
usually
like
at the
that.
grocery store with their mom because they go to the grocery store with their mom because it's probably the only time they go outside. We've all seen
Yeah.
that. We've all seen that pair in the grocery store. So
Well, like I mean, but it's really weird. Like I was talking about obesity rates with one of my friends because I was thinking about like dating market stuff, right? Like if you need to not be down on yourself. Like if you have any job at all, if you are like a high school graduate or even a college graduate, and you are like you talk to somebody in real life on a regular basis, like you are already in like the top 70% of like single dudes that are out there. Okay.
Hmm.
And then, or sorry, I should say like the top 30%. Then if you like work out or like have like an interest or like do music or art or literally anything, like it could
Hmm.
be basic, like you could just literally fucking be like, oh, I take pictures when I go on hikes. You are automatically like in the top 5% of dudes. I'm
Hmm.
not kidding. And then like you work out on top of that, like you're in the top 1% of the single dudes out there, right? Yeah. Fuck yeah,
No,
bro.
yeah.
So it's don't be, like you guys need to not be down in yourself. Like just work, just make friends out there in the real world, and like, but like the despair, I'm so surprised by the lack of despair of like that generation that it hasn't manifested.
I
And
think
we're
it's
talking about like, oh,
because
these are like white, mostly like white guys. But
mostly like honestly, it's probably very proportional to what the actual breakdown of the population is, but like definitely more
you're
white
right.
guys for
Yeah, yeah.
sure. But the
No,
other thing
it's
too
not like
is
a
like
BLM protest, right? Like that's a different
that's
demographic
that's different entirely.
of like unemployed,
Yeah, that's
not
it's not
engaged
the
in
same. Those
society
are the
people.
unemployed people who unfortunately go outside probably too much.
Yeah.
But I was gonna say, like, probably the reason like the despair factor is lessened is because these people all congregate on the same places on the internet and they're talking to each other. So it's more of like a, hey, this is happening to me, but there are other people out there like me also suffering from this. And at the same time, we're just kind of like, yeah, y'all need to like wash your ass and like stop living in your mom's basement and like stop jerking off to hentai every fucking day. But like, if you want to find solidarity in
You
that,
you need to you are psychologically torturing yourself,
they don't know it.
right?
That's
Like
the
it
thing.
is it
Like,
is a form of hell
it is.
to just be like every day's the same. There's nothing that you can do. Like that's you're literally talking about like the first layer, like purgatory
Yeah,
in Dante's Inferno, where like everything's the same, nothing ever changes. And so it's like, yeah, get just a basic job doing literally anything. You could be sweeping somewhere and you'll just get to talk to
literally.
a boss or a coworker once in a while, and they'll invite you to the bowling league or out for beers or something like that, and then you'll meet
Or
people, and then you'll be like, oh, I want to, yeah. Oh, go
exactly.
ahead.
No, you're exactly right. But I was going to say, or since you're spending all of that time in front of a screen doing nothing except for what you will, unironically learn to code. Unironically learn to code. You can still work from home and just fucking code as a freelance programmer and make a decent living. Like, depending
What's
on. Sorry, what were you going to say?
yeah no no, say what you're gonna say, because I was just thinking out loud.
Because, like, even if you're still living at home and you're not making that much money, like, perfectly frank, the people who live at home right now and do work, but they live with their parents or family members or something like that and don't have to pay rent, that is like the one true way to get ahead financially these days, because the cost of just like renting or whatever or trying to buy a house these days is crazy. It's crazy.
I get in at the right time.
Yeah, well,
Anyways,
I'm.
but no, yeah, your area is a little different. But
Yeah.
no, go to codeacademy.com.
Yeah.
Okay? Free. And you get courses. You can learn Java, HTML, SQL. You can get little certs for all these things,
Hmm.
and you can like have like in your town, look up like different businesses and go to their website and be like, "Hey, this website sucks." What, and like learn HTML. Look at your neighboring business's website and like show them a different version of their website and say like, "Hey, how much do you want for this website that I
Word.
worked up for you?" You're
Word.
not doing anything else. They will probably pay you close to four figures for it if their business is doing all right.
Here's the thing though, like
They might just pay you a couple $100 for it or something like that. Yeah.
you
And it
develop a
will take
template.
you once you, yeah, once you do it once, you're like set. It's like
Exactly.
so
I mean,
easy
if
to.
you look at a lot of websites these days, they all use the same kind of like template. They just basically work from like a kit and just basically build the site around it. You develop your own template you can use, and a lot of the time you're just copy and pasting like text and images. So like you have maybe some like grind time on startup, but like let's say you make the same amount of money each time. First time you make a couple hundred, you keep doing that. You make a couple hundred each time. Like that's just all money for you. That's all
Yeah, and
you.
this learn to code thing, like there's going to be bots that like generate websites, but at the end of the day, they need it. Everything's going to need a human touch because
Literally,
we understand
especially
things as humans.
especially if
Yeah.
the store is like owned by boomers, for example. They hate dealing with bots and automation and phone trees. So if you're a physical person and they can like call you on the phone and or like email you and you talk back because you're a real person, like that alone will drive your business. Especially those of
Yeah.
you in like the Rust Belt, in places where the median age of your state is higher than normal, that will benefit you.
hmm yeah, but I think there's this like suburban. Well, actually, you're right about the Rust Belt because yeah, I'm not thinking talking all the way from upstate New York over to like Minnesota, right? And there's
Literally,
this
yeah. I mean, of course,
suburban
there's more of that. It's not just the Rust Belt,
population.
but like I guess from my perspective, like the Rust Belt is a lot of states that are older. Like it's just the
hmm
median age is
No,
up there.
they're getting older. I can't tell you every. Well, it was on wasn't it on the debate for the New York governor was last night or the night before or something like that.
Within the last
I
week
don't know
for
if you
sure.
tracked it. Yeah,
I
I know
I was paying a little bit of attention. Like I know enough to know the race is actually like very close, like within statistical
surprisingly
error
close
close.
for a New York
Yeah,
yeah, governor's race, right? Which should be like dictator level for
yeah.
Democrats. So the but the like the thing that like is getting people, even like these people who've been voting Democrat their entire lives, is they've realized like none of my kids live in my state anymore.
Yeah,
Like all my entire family has moved away,
yeah.
and we're literally like a retirement home community at this point with
That
no
was
opportunity. There's no jobs, there's no physical stuff because they went all in on, I mean, that's kind of the Rust Belt thing, is they went all in on manufacturing and the
mhm,
unions, and they just fucked themselves
pretty
for
much. I
the
mean,
21st century.
from my experience, for example, living in like upstate New York, that's our state to the T. Like, oh, excuse me, like where everybody's getting older. Like, there's they're building new apartments. Oh, it looks pretty. Oh, it's 55 plus only. Okay, whatever. Well, that's everything else my age that I can get into is super expensive, and it's like, oh shit, there's like, oh, they're gonna have this cool new thing downtown, and it's like, oh, it's like a seniors like thing for people who are like retired or something like that. And it's like, oh, there's this new business opening. Oh, it's a drugstore. Oh, there's another. Oh, it's another drugstore. It's another drugstore. It's another drugstore. It's another drugstore. You constantly hear about people who move out of the state and are doing very well, or become drug addicts in Florida. But I mean, you either that's which way, Western man. You either become Florida man or you move out of your hometown and you do well. And like it's a thing too. Like I don't know if this is true like statistically nationally, but like at least where I came from in New York, like most people lived and died like 5 miles from where they were born at most.
Yeah, yeah,
And
because
like,
they were factory towns. There were big businesses, like you're
mhm,
talking upstate New York. You got what I mean, Kodak and like IBM started there, and
mhm.
like
I
all
mean,
this stuff.
so where I was in upstate New York, we had the very first General Electric that was ever built. So,
Oh, yeah, yeah.
gen-
Think about that big fucking the company that like started a ton of shit. General
there is
Electric.
this actually there's a neighborhood, it's called the GE plot in my hometown in Schenectady, and like it's basically, so if you go to a super futuristic like everybody has a smart home neighborhood and it's like, wow, this is like the neighborhood of tomorrow. This
Yeah.
neighborhood was the neighborhood of tomorrow in like the 50s and 60s, like very well built houses with very good HVAC and insulation, and they usually all have like these internal vacuum systems and dumb waiters, and like all of this shit that for the time was like cutting edge.
Mhm.
So it's just I'm kind of drifting a little bit, but I guess my point is like
Well, but that's not in New York anymore. They're
exactly
building that. They're building that in townhomes in Colorado and
Colorado,
Utah and
Wyoming,
Idaho.
Utah, Idaho, yeah, like
Not so much
Montana.
Wyoming, but yeah.
No, dude. So
Um,
I drove through I drove through Cheyenne and I stopped somewhere in the southwest part of Wyoming where it's very
Wait,
close to
when?
Utah. When I
Uh,
moved to Utah,
oh, okay. Yeah,
trust me, dude.
Cheyenne
Next
is
time
a
I
little bit
pass
of a
through, I'll definitely hit
okay.
you up. So I think
Okay.
it was Cheyenne. No, not Cheyenne.
Yeah,
Cheyenne southeast, right?
yeah.
Okay. So
South Cheyenne, the southeast,
where the hell
in the
did I?
middle,
No, it was like southwestern. Hold on, let me
like Rock
consult.
Springs or
Maybe that kind of
Green.
sounds. It was Rock Springs or Green River, I want to say, because it was like an hour from
Okay.
Utah. But
Yeah.
I went through Cheyenne and I went through Rock
Actually, Rock
Springs.
Springs just got the new Keltec factory it built in it.
Ooh, that's okay.
Keltec's coming to Wyoming. Wyoming also has Magpul,
Cool.
um, which is hilarious because Magpul was based out of Boulder, Colorado.
Yeah, yeah.
They were founded there, and Boulder decided the city was like specifically like shit on Magpul, the biggest manufacturer for all this stuff,
And they pulled out.
and they pulled out.
That's what Aero Precision needs to do. I don't know if they're in
Where's
Washington
Aero
State.
based out of?
They're right now they're either in Washington or Oregon. I think
Actually, that
Washington.
checks out. I think is Washington. Oregon's actually a purple state now too.
Really?
Like their governor's race is really close.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
See, okay.
Oh, here I gotta let my guest in.
Ah. So, ladies and gentlemen, Max has a very special guest. I believe it is a female. We'll know in a second here. This is a little bit of a nature documentary at the moment. Yep, now we see the young alpha male and not coming on screen, I guess, but that's okay. We know she's there.
Okay. No, what was I
Aha.
just thinking about? Eh,
Uh, um, I do not. We were discussing like the Rust
Oh,
Belt.
yeah, manufacturing jobs. But like, no, actually, I just drove up the Front Range today, like
Mm,
basically, from Denver north, and what do you got? It's fucking you've got Ball Aerospace,
mm-hmm,
Ball Manufacturing and Aerospace, and then you keep driving north, and it's IBM, and then it's Advanced Micro Devices,
mm-hmm,
and then it's who's Intel is in Fort
mm-hmm,
Collins,
mm-hmm,
and so you're just like going up, and like people don't appreciate. Oh, and Google's in Boulder as well. They have a campus there.
mm-hmm.
And like people don't appreciate that. Like, yeah, Silicon Valley is where Silicon Valley is, but like the reason why Colorado is doing as economically as well as it is because you know all of the Silicon Valley companies are actually in the Front Range, and we have Tabor, unlike California, which is the uh, tax raises actually have to get passed by majority vote statewide,
Hmm.
and so the taxes and the budget are actually balanced year to year in Colorado, despite having Democrat governors for the last 20 years. Like they are not an economic basket case like California would be. Which did we talk about a couple times ago that yeah, the French rail company pulled out from doing the high speed train in
Mm-hmm.
California because it's more politically dysfunctional than North Africa?
Yep, we did talk about that. I remember that headline
In like
specifically. That was
13
shit.
years, they hadn't done shit for the high speed rail in California. In the meantime, they built a high speed rail through like Morocco and Algeria, and it's like
Seriously.
places that just had revolutions with like, um, And we talk, yeah, and the fucking representation rate in California is so absolutely asinine.
Mm-hmm.
But oh, cracking open a cold one.
Oh,
So
nice. With the
can
boys.
actually can I get Star Valley? Thank you. Um, so the yeah, no, the economically there's places where it's actually still all happening. Thanks. Um, but yeah, new like the rolled Rust Belt. Like I can't imagine what do people do in like Chicago at the LinkedIn headquarters is there, I
They
guess,
do
right?
heroin. That's what they do.
Yeah, they
That's
do
what they do
heroin.
in the Rust Belt. They do heroin.
What was
But
what was the TikTok where the girl was like, "This is my day as a marketing manager at LinkedIn,"
oh my god.
and they go they go to work and they get like free lavender essential oil towel, and then they have like custom breakfast with like omelet make and waffles, and then they have like a sauna hour and then kombucha, and it's like,
And
wait,
they,
are
what
you
does,
actually working at any
yeah, like,
point
what
in
are
the
you doing?
day?
Oh, she's working. They
Also,
can't,
what does
this,
LinkedIn do
I
really?
don't
Like
even
they
know, but
built the
like,
software
you know what
and
her
what
job
else?
title is, Max. You know what she does. They can't show what she does on camera because, well, you know why she's there.
But somebody's like, your day costs like $4,000 there at that
Yeah,
company.
yeah,
And there's no way, like it's gonna be like Twitter. Elon Musk is going in and these software engineers are walking out with cardboard boxes, and it's like, you did nothing there but write code to make the product worse,
yeah,
right? Like all they were doing was like shadow banning accounts and like writing a new
literally.
algorithm so people don't get into the wrong feeds and stuff like that. And it's
Mm-hmm.
like, oh no, if you just let a social media jungle develop, like there's a natural order, and like if there's just a little bit of discoverability and stuff like that, and you write an algorithm based on sameness and stuff like that, yeah, people get this based into echo chambers, but they also like increases the interaction. People find the followers they want. They build bases. This branches out and everything. Like there's a natural order to it that existed prior. I When do you think the big change was? Like 2014, 2015 maybe?
For what
Or
specifically?
was it after 2016 that like they were like, "Oh, Russian disinformation." That's when they like
I would say specifically 2018, 2019. Like definitely
cuz I
pre-COVID, but not that far pre-COVID.
when could you still watch Alex Jones live stream on Facebook and YouTube, right? That was like
Around that time, I
2017.
want to say probably 2016, 2017. Yeah,
Yeah. And then it was like, nope, that's out.
yeah,
And
that's
then
out.
here we are, what is it? Just 5 years later, and the guy needs to repay more than Germany to the Allies for World War I.
How much did wasn't Germany sued civilly for the Holocaust?
Oh, I'm sure they have
I
been.
wonder what that payout was, like in total. Somebody be
Um,
real, if like it's not more than what Alex Jones is paying to these fucking families, I swear to God.
Actually, that's like people need to keep rubbing this like figure in their face. And it's like, I think I made the point. If he'd been drunk driving and personally like crashed into the school bus carrying all the kids and murdered
He'd
them,
have less of a fine.
manslaughtered them, it
How
would be
much?
less money.
What was Adam Lanza like? I know he's dead, so you can't like civilly sue a dead man, but like, what would he have been like financially responsible for, like civilly?
Yeah, if we had like Marcel's justice system, the Viking justice system of restitution, right? Where
Yeah.
like criminally he could have gotten away and just paid off the families, right?
Mm-hmm.
What would it have been? Not that. I think FEMA pays out about 3 million per person
So
for
3 million per
emergency
person.
deaths.
How many kids died in Sandy Hook? About like at least 12, right? Supposedly, allegedly.
Oh, I thought it was like a classroom was like 20 something.
Okay, so let's
I, I
err on the
I don't
safe
remember the
side.
figures.
Let's
We're not saying it didn't happen or how many did. We
we
totally
are gonna
accept the
we're gonna assume it was
story. We're
this.
just
Let's say it
trying.
was 25
It,
kids. So 25
yeah,
kids times three, 75 million.
75 million. Yeah. That's what FEMA would pay out if like a
Mm-hmm.
meteorite hit the school, right?
Plus the teacher, so 78 million with let's just say, I don't know, like a finder's fee, 80 million. Like, shit.
Woo.
I also love like the
Okay.
rhetoric. I got to just real quick. I just love the rhetoric. I don't know where I read it. Somebody was like, "Yeah, Alex Jones destroy the lives of these families," and I'm like, did he kill the kids? Did he do that? No, he did not. He did not kill the kids. Are you saying what he did is the equivalent of what Adam Lanza did? Is that what you're saying?
I
Because
mean,
if
I
you
don't even
are
like saying Adam, the kid's name, right?
true,
But
like what
yeah.
that douche did, that faggot, that queer, that incel.
So can we? Oregon is a toss-up right now. Polling
Oh,
equally is Tina Kotek, the Democrat, and Christine Drazan, the Republican,
mm.
with
So
others polling around 14%. So there's some
Oregon's a
spoiler.
toss up. Nevada's a toss up. Arizona's a toss up. New York is a toss up. These were not supposed to happen 2 months ago. This is
Actually,
not supposed to be like this.
so Arizona's looking like it'll get Republican. Did you see Dave Smith interviewed Blake Masters? Actually,
No, I didn't see
the
that.
Senate candidate, the Republican Senate candidate.
Is
Blake
Masters the
Masters
one
is
who's endorsed by Ron Paul?
yes, he was on
Okay.
Ron Paul's show the day before,
Hmm.
and this is the state where there was the libertarian who, unprompted in the debate, brought up the age of consent.
Walking parody. I can't believe that.
Yep, yep. So I don't know what the latest polls are. Maybe 538 has not updated them,
Oh, you
and they
mean
never
Nate
use
Bronze?
the best ones.
Nate Bronze.
Um, I guess so.
It was a joke
But
after 2016, like on various websites, that like Nate Silver was predicting like Hillary's going to win in a landslide, and he was very wrong. So it was
well,
like,
I
oh,
mean,
Nate
he was
Bronze.
right in a popular vote sense, but like you have to actually call each state because it's the states that vote for president, not the people.
Exactly. Yeah.
Got to play the game by the rules. You know, it's like
Exactly.
baseball. You
Yeah.
don't win by having the most points in one inning. It's over It's over the whole series, right?
It's not the most hits.
So
It's the yeah.
yeah, it's not. Um, no, the polls are closing very closely for Masters in recent days,
Mm.
and I think he had a good debate performance. I think he is very much leaning into the MAGA direction, and watching his interview with Ron and Dave, it was very apparent that this is just like an angle that he's on,
Mm-hmm.
because like he is like I read Mises and Rothbard and I can drop like a Hayek or something quote like on off my head, like off
I
the top
mean,
of his head.
unfortunately,
Um,
that's kind of what you have to do now. Admittedly, like if he gets in and he starts like actually voting for neocon shit or like MAGA blue line shit, problem.
Dave pushed him on like the weapons military industrial complex stuff,
Mm-hmm.
and he had a pretty solid response. I thought that he I think politically he can't say like, oh, the Ukrainian people don't deserve he said, oh, the US should have provided some humanitarian aid in February for Ukraine.
Mm-hmm.
Other than that, I don't know that we should be doing any of this, which is really nice. And then he's a little hawkish on China. I think he wants the trade war to escalate with China,
Like,
which
I don't know. Like
I
on the one hand, like trade, at least going the trade way. At least it's non-violent. Like,
are
doesn't mean people
we
won't suffer for it. It's not like just still government meddling, but
well, here's the deal. Just ask fucking like Peter Schiff puts it the best way possible, right? We give them paper and they give us stuff.
yeah.
What's a better deal than that? Like we're not exporting stuff to them. I mean, we actually export a lot of fertilizer, and their entire economy would and or they would all starve to death without it. But
Oh,
um they'll starve to death anyways because of a couple different things. Um China's not in good shape,
inshallah.
inshallah. But no, like there's China's so dependent on trade, they're not going to start any wars anytime soon. They import all this fertilizer, they import water just to keep their
Mm,
factories and their power plants on and their people from, you know,
dying.
having anything to drink. They are, all their seed crop and stuff like that. Their meat supply is almost all pork, and there's
Mm,
massive swine flu outbreaks all of the last 3 years, in which they've had to cull like 2/3 of their herd. They're importing from, Brazil and Australia and stuff like that.
mm.
And then their population is going to hit an average age of like 55 in the next couple years. On top of
Oh
that,
man.
they redid their census, and they realized that the last like government basically census overcounted by about 100 million people. So
Okay.
there's like 100 million non-existent young working age people in their country,
Well,
or
I mean,
that they thought they had.
it's kind of like their entire economy. It's just
No,
it,
yeah,
it
it's all the ghost towns out in the middle of the desert that have like 30-foot sky or 30-story skyscrapers, and
that nobody
nobody's in
lives in.
them.
Yeah,
And
exactly.
there's fountains and a cultural center and like huge malls just full of abandoned stuff. And people are buying their third or fourth home because you can't buy any real property outside of real estate. This is the only thing you can buy, and
Yeah.
the reason is the state owns all the land, and so for the state to generate tax revenue they have to have value on the land, so they sell the land at these inflated rates and like constrict the supply, or like the state provinces have to issue like the tax funds off to the central government, so they have like like you have to make ends meet somehow. They don't want to do other taxes, so it's all property. It's such a like ghost economy. I am very much looking forward to. Like the China Hawks are going to look stupid in 8 years.
Mm.
China
Here's
is
hoping.
going. China is going to look. I hope China's not. It's going to lash out like Russia is, right? Demographic collapse is always like this is their last chance that they have a young male population that's even capable of carrying out a war.
Mm.
Russia or China.
Do you think they would pick Taiwan to do this, or do you think they'd pick something different?
No, the inter Taiwanese trade is so um they if that would be suicide mode is
Yeah.
basically what I'm thinking. They would only if they were facing absolute internal collapse and they needed a scapegoat would they go for Taiwan. Uh
Ironically, I could see them. No, maybe not Mongolia. I don't know if Mongolia has anything
India.
strategic. India, I could see that,
Yeah.
and Africa,
There's there
actually.
there's a lot of no China can't project power across an ocean.
True.
Their boats their boats can't even travel. Like the Somali pirates would literally take them out, okay? I'm
I
not it's
would pay so much money to see a naval engagement between Somali pirates
Yeah,
and the Chinese
they've got
Navy.
an aircraft carrier, but like you send the whole Somali navy out, or the pirate
Could
navy out to
you
them,
imagine just a
it'd be over.
bunch of fucking Rashids in inflatable rafts mass firing RPGs at shitty Chinese ships whose guns have never fired? Like, that'd be the funniest shit. Oh my god.
No, the real dispute: China needs water more than anything else, and the
Hmm.
water is locked up in the Himalayas, and
Oh,
that's
yeah.
India and Nepal, and they already have like fist fights on the daily with like border skirmishes because they want to have this line right here because that means that this
I could see them, maybe not India
drainage
because
can
India
go
is
to
a nuclear
China.
power, but Nepal, I could definitely see them fucking with Nepal. Don't they already kind of fuck with Nepal?
They fuck with Nepal and Bhutan a lot.
Okay, yeah, so there you go.
Yeah. So I would see that being a flashpoint,
Mm.
for where I'd look that they could go. But um, anyways, any closing thoughts here? We're at an hour, and I have
You got plans.
some
You gotta
delights to
yeah,
engage in.
you gotta propagate the white race. That's fine. No, I think we pretty much covered everything. This is a filler episode, so it's like kind of whatever. We should kind of do more
Well,
like this. We should
we
just
did a good
start
cover
talking.
of the news.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but I mean, I think we should do more episodes where we just start talking about shit because I feel like we try to skip to a list sometimes. Like, if shit happens, like Nancy Pelosi's husband getting attacked with a hammer, that's worth talking
And
about.
he's in brain surgery right
Yeah,
now.
word.
Oh my lord! Like, see, this is like honestly, the thing that surprised me is that like the Speaker of the House's personal home doesn't have 24/7 security. Is that the
Yeah,
thing?
well, there was some rumors that maybe the guy and Nancy's husband were
Have a relationship
maybe.
of
I
some
mean,
type?
it wouldn't be the
They know each
first
other
time.
personally.
It wouldn't be
They
the
were
first
roommates.
time. Yeah, they were roommates. Oh my god, they were roommates.
So like he had a pass with the I mean, there must be like some Capitol Police or Secret Service or the county sheriff, even, right? Like, there's no way the third person in line's home is not secured by somebody with a gun at all times. In which case, that's really interesting information, isn't it?
It is. I mean, if you think about it, you would think a lot of these people do have armed security, but like, how much does that armed security really care about them? Does that armed security really exist? How proficient is that armed security?
There's
Another
the
such
people
questions
who
in the
are getting
Minecraft
like
manual.
really paid, like, and take their jobs seriously. I've met a couple of those private security guys, and
Mm-hmm.
like they can't talk about like yeah, I can't tell you who
Oh,
my
they don't talk
client is,
about
but
shit.
like
Yeah,
yeah, but like they're serious,
I
you know.
so I am not gonna, of course, not gonna mention names. So I worked at a gun store in Utah that was very famous, like at least on the internet, for who the guy who ran it was, and some of the previous employees there. Like a lot of these guys have military history. Like the owner was a
Yep.
former ranger. This guy I'm also talking about was also a former ranger, and he may or may not
There's guys
share a
that
name
actually
with
want
me.
this career path where they specifically want to do special forces
Yeah,
or something like that so that they can get a security contractor
which
position
is
afterward.
it's not the worst idea because these dudes make
No,
bank.
it's not.
These
Yeah, they
dudes
do.
make bank,
And
and
they get
this
treated well. They get to fly private everywhere they go, and they get great dinner, and yeah.
I remember
They
this one guy was talking about this. I guess this will be my closing story. He was talking about how he was doing security for some billionaire. He didn't mention who it was. Excuse me, but it's a guy who owns a very popular solar company in the Southwest. That's all I'm gonna say. So
mhm.
he gets to an airport somewhere, and the guy was like, well, in order to protect you, I'm going to need some sort of firearm. So like I have like the licenses necessary, but like I like, can you make some references for something I can do in state? And apparently when he got to the airport, like he picked the guy up in a car, and like dude was like, so what are we going to do about like whatever? And he's just like, oh, here you go. And the dude just pulls out like a handgun and just puts it on the dashboard. And like they're literally on like a tarmac at like a major international airport.
Yep. No, those private security guys, they have the special licenses where they do carry on planes and in
Mhm.
airports and
But
stuff like
I
that.
specifically meant like it wasn't the security guard who had this handgun. It was the billionaire dude. He was like tasked with like, escorting, brought him a
Oh, he's like,
handgun.
"Oh, here's your thing,
Yeah,
man."
here you go. And he just looked at him and he's like, how'd you even get that in here? And it's
Dude,
because
okay,
they live by different rules.
okay, here's something to consider is like when you have your own personal plane, you're flying out of regional airports maybe without TSA, and then you get approval to land in like more regional or I mean, like think about these there it's not DIA, but like Eagle Airport, Aspen Airport are actually international airports.
Mhm.
They're taking private jets in all the time. You walk off the tarmac from your like where you keep your private plane in
Into your
Calgary,
car and you just drive away.
and you just drive away, right?
It's
So
like you're
like your
parking
plane,
your
you can
vehicle.
have whatever you want on your plane, right? It's your
Yeah,
private jet. You can
exactly.
transport. Doesn't matter. So
I
anyway,
think yeah,
that
but
would be a
like
nice way to live, right?
it would be. I mean, I think that's something I'm going to try and do in my life. I'm going to get a
I
pilot's
think that's
license and
what
have
T
a pilot
Swift was
aircraft.
doing. She's smuggling guns across California in her
Oh, and
private
her
jet.
private jet. Yeah, that would make sense. She's totally a gun runner in
Well,
Minecraft.
she's a Shogunate supporter, right? So
True. Yeah, yeah. And she's apparently an ethno nationalist.
Alrighty, I am
All right.
going to eat some delicious baked goods.
You do that, my
Happy
friend.
Halloween,
And
everyone.
of course, propagate the white race. Everyone, thank you for joining us this evening on the altar. Myself and Max, thank you for joining us. And of course, as always, taxation's theft.
Taxation's good.